communications, vast experience in telecom regulation as well as history. Among other accomplishments, he was a member of the NG Regulation Review Group of ITU and also worked as an advisor with the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India at the level of Additional Secretary and is heading the Converged Network Division, dealing with regulatory, technical and economic aspects of data network and services. So I give you a warm welcome and wish you fun.
Yeah, thank you, Bernadette. Good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a great pleasure and honor for me to be here, and for which I am thankful to CIS, especially Nirmita. So this session, of course, will be covering the internet service providers. That is the main job here, but I'll be using my presentation which have so many other things, but only the relevant slides will be shown to you for that. And as I was given to understand, and which was also mentioned by earlier speaker Mr. Roy also, that it's always a challenge to have a session just after lunch. The challenge is actually, and that is what I was advised, that I should start with some physical activity before I go to the brass tack. But I'm not taking that advice, of course. And, and of course, the one challenge which they have already, handled is to get you in here. So that is already over. But my challenge is to keep you awake, and so I will take a clue from what Sunil have been doing last 2 days, the storytelling. So I'll also start with a story related to the subject. Basically, do you know about the internet and data communication? The one question is, which came first, whether it was data communication or the voice communication? Which came first? Any idea? I can tell you a clue that internet came about 31 years back. So, but between the voice and data, which came first? Data, voice. So, they 1 for data and 3 for voice. So, actually it was data. The famous Morse code, and I especially wanted to bring this story to you. Today paper, most of the paper I have covered, the 160-year-old telegram service soon to be discontinued. So the data started with the Morse code 160 years back. It was 15th June and maybe 18 something, so that it becomes 160. And BSNL, the only operator which was handling the telegraph services in India, have also decided to say goodbye to it. So my question to you is, when you use the telegraph service last? Anybody remember, or any of you have ever used telegram service? Or when you used it last? Oh yeah, but when was that? So we have almost forgotten because this service has become irrelevant. And now the next question is, who killed the telegraph service? Is it internet? You are wrong. Anyway, it is not the internet. It is not the internet. It is not the telephone. It is the SMS. The SMS killed the telegraph actually. SMS. So in fact, the internet came later. So when the SMS came, the telegraph became dead. So that is the starting point of what we call the data services, because internet is mainly for data. So normally for my normal class for the students, and this is not meant for you. So basically to keep class engaged, I always make use of this first slide in the class, so you don't take it literally. Basically, moral of the story here is, sleeping is not an option, because that is the main KRA for me. I was told your students should not sleep. in your class after lunch. So sleeping is not an option. So what we have to do is, it is basically we have to do it through interaction, learning through knowledge exchange. Normally most of my class is, I means become the more, beneficiary and I learn more actually. And that is what will be the objective of this class also. So it will be more interaction. Luckily for this, and that is what I do for most of my classes, there is a reverse quiz. The reverse quiz is the best questions asked get a prize, and that is my book actually on the NGN, which have everything about internet including this presentation. So the best question will get the prize, and more interaction, this is there. And of course this presentation covers everything which we will not be covering, only the last line. Last line will be the theme of the presentation, reality check of state of internet services and the internet service providers in India. I hope that is okay, or you want any change in that? The last line will serve the purpose, I think. Only thing is, what I normally do is, there is one slide which I prepared with much efforts, which was done 5 years back. I always show it at least for record purpose. And luckily, I believe you have already gone through that by someone. And I also saw a diagram of this slide. And so I think you already know about this, because it involved the service provider. And you see the service provider, these operators in the bottom corner, they are actually controlled or bogged down by so many different agencies. And that is what is their main woe actually. That is where they have the difficulty. And if anybody have any question or anything to be added on this, otherwise I have to quickly skip this. It was just for formality basically. Any question on this? Anything which you have not understood 2 days back? Basically, yeah, NIC is a part of that DATI. Now we have a Department of Electronics and IT. So I have not taken that. Of course, that is a good idea, that should also be mentioned. Instead of NIC, in this middle slide, middle table, this figure, we should also include DATI here. And then DATI have so many wings actually. NIC is one of them, but NIC comes as one of the operator also actually. As you know, NIC are providing the internet services to government, web hosting to government. So they will come here. There are a lot of different category of operators, the government operator, public sector operator and private. So NIC will figure here. But you are right, we have to mention here that other department DATI, which is equally important. But basically this slide was made from the regulation point of view, which is mainly done by DOT. So I think that was a good input. Anything else? Or I straightway now I have to skip a lot of them which are not meant for this, but they will be available on the website with CIS. It has a lot of inputs not related to this presentation. So I have to come straight to this one. So basically the state of internet services and ISPs in India. So we want to see what is the India's ranking basically, because we always start when we want to analyze the state of internet, first we have to compare it with other countries, especially China. That is our hobby. Whenever we want to analyze something, we compare it with China. Luckily for us, the ITU have done some comparison, and you already know about ITU actually, it was discussed. Then what our own regulators, actually my presentation, this presentation is based on our own regulators report, TRA website. Actually it's quite rich in data now, and they keep it updating. So everything I've taken from their website, and then we'll discuss internet subscriber base, market share. Of course, lot of these things will also be discussed by Madam Helani. She has come from Learn Asia, and so those things will be left. So I'll be just going to the specific data point, technology trends, then top 10 states, top 10 provider as well as top 10 states. And anybody have any idea which is the state of India which have maximum penetration of internet or broadband? Any guess? Oh, you are right. Correct. It is not Karnataka, it is Maharashtra. So we will see how it has happened. And then some tariff oriented thing. Then what is the contribution of these telcos? Actually, you know, ISP, Internet Service Provider, is one category. The other category is what is called Unified Access Service Provider. They are what is called telco. You will see that the role of telcos is more than the role of ISPs in provision of internet services. Why? Because the internet service makes use of the telcos network. If the telcos network is not there, internet service cannot be provided by an internet service provider because he does not have a network. What an internet service provider owns is just a node or a NOC or a POP, whatever they call it. But he does not have the network which is required to provide the service to the end user. Neither he has backhaul nor he has the access. What he has is just a node. So that is not enough. So that is why we will see what is the role, and more than anything else, like we will be discussing about the various service providers, the biggest player in the broadband service provision in India. Any guess? Who is the biggest player in India or a biggest service provider? VSA, yeah, correct. So his role is very important and we will see how. And then the missing link for the internet. And everyone knows the missing link is the rural part of it. In urban areas still we have, like all of us have internet either at our home or at our office or on our mobile. But rural, same thing is not there. So who has to plug that missing link? And you have already heard about the another incumbent, BBNL. That was Tulika also mentioned about that, and will. So that is what I plan to do. So the starting point, the ITU 2012 report. So they have given India's rank on few of the important indicators, and the percentage. The percentage is means out of 100, how many are there? The fixed broadband penetration, because till today the most of the broadband is counted as fixed only, because on mobile you don't get those type of speeds which you can call broadband practically. Theoretically maybe they qualify, but practically the speed what you get today, whether it is 2G or 3G, it does not qualify as broadband. But yes, 4G, when this LTE comes, then the things will be different. So the fixed broadband penetration, the India's rank is 112. So can we be proud of it, or we should be ashamed of this? 112. So ashamed because of that percentage. Just 1%. 1%. That is the last year thing. Now it is 1.1%. 1% of us have the broadband connection. And compare it with the mobile phone. Any idea percentage of us having mobile phone? The tele density? It's about 80%. 80%, yeah, 80%. Even in rural area, the mobile phone density is 40%. Even in rural area. The national tele density is 80%, rural 40%. And you see the broadband 1%. And if you go to rural, it will come almost zero, very near to zero. Rural broadband, you will see that. Now, of course, mobile also, as I told, mobile broadband penetration also as per ITU, because our regulator have told any speed above 256 kilobit will be called broadband. And that is the law in the country, regulator law, though it is being amended. And that amendment is also happening just to 512. Even their load of work is being done before they make it 512. Load of opposition to that also. So, but today 256. So if you take that 256, there also our rank is 106. But otherwise it should be the last one, because none of our mobile actually should be called broadband today. But anyway, if you go by the regulator definition of 256 kilobit per second. Then also we are 106, and then also only 2%. So 1% household, you can say fixed one, and only 2% mobile. Out of 80%, only 2% of them have broadband, even if we go by the definition, that is the restricted definition. So that is the problem. Household with broadband and internet together, our rank is 80th. That is also very bad if we are calling ourselves IT superpower and all that. 80th rank in the world, and everything put together, and it is household, it is not the tally density, 6%. So in this you have merged first and second. So 3% was there. Then you divide it by the number of average number of people. You multiply it with that, and that is how. So 6% of our households have only broadband. 94% of our households don't have broadband. So will you like to compare it with Korea? In Korea, 20 years back, a law was passed that you cannot get a occupancy certificate for a building unless it is having a broadband connection. It was done 20 years back, not today.
South Korea?
Yeah, South Korea. So there cannot be a house where people are living which have no broadband connection. Like we get a no objection for our lift, for our electricity, for our water. In Korea, they also get no objection for broadband connection. And if broadband connection is not there, it will be illegal to live in that building. So that is the state. So if we have that kind of thing, 94% of our homes will have to be vacated if we make such arrangement. That is the situation.
Is there any international standard to have a minimum bandwidth?
Oh, yeah, that is a very good question. There is no international standard that way, but there are definitions. Each country have its own definition, but normally we swear by the ITU definition. The ITU have defined it as 2 megabit per second. So normally that is the best one to adopt if you don't have your own. Normally most of the country have their own. Like Korea have, now they have made it 100 Mbps. Earlier it used to be 10 Mbps. When we were talking about broadband policy in 2004, that time Korea had made it 10 megabit that time. US was 128 that time, 2004. That time we decided at least we are better than US because we made it 256. That is how. And ITU was also 256 that time. Now ITU is 2 Mbps. So that way if you talk of international standard, we can take ITU standard as international 2 Mbps. Otherwise each country have its own definition depending on what their people want and what their network can deliver and what their service providers are comfortable with. So when we define this speed, we have to take into account a lot of things. And that is what government tried. Now in the NTP 2012, which came last year, government told that broadband definition have to be revised to 2 Mbps immediately. That is the policy statement. And up to 100 Mbps by 2020. That is what it is written in the policy. Now after it is written in the policy, then the policy have to be implemented. Like in the morning also, when law is there, it needs rules and regulations. Same thing happens with the policy. Policy is actually one step below the law also. Sometimes policy have to, necessitate the law making and then other thing, and at least rules and regulation have to be made. So they are trying to do it. Lot of opposition from the mobile operator. Finally they have settled the revised definition of 512 kilobit per second, not 2 Mbps. Though the policy mentioned that you should make it 2 Mbps, but somehow they are unable to reach there. So finally you will see in 1 week or 1 month, the broadband definition is revised from 256 kilobit to 512. Well, it will not change any of these things actually, because that definition change is not very significant. Minimum they should have done it 2 Mbps. And this is what I took from the regulator's report. This says it all actually. Basically the data part, internet subscriber were 24 4 million, they became 25 million. As far as the policy target for this, I think you must be knowing, the policy target for internet and broadband for 2010 was 40 million internet and 20 million broadband. That was the target for 2010. And now we are in 2013 and this data is 2012. December 2012 also, we were short of the policy target. And that I am talking of old policy. Policy of 2004. Policy of 2012 have set much more ambitious target. They are talking of 175 million broadband by 2017 and 600 million broadband by 2020. That is the new policy. But this you see, and the one important thing, and that is where we will be discussing more, the top 10 ISPs together hold 95% of the total internet subscribers. Any idea how many ISPs we have in the country? Any rough guess? No. ISPs in the country. There are 160. But out of those 160, only one is in top 10. Other 9 are the telcos. So what does that mean? That means the ISPs are not contributing anything to the numbers or to the, or that I'll just even I don't remember, but I'll show you. I'll park your question. It will come there. Only one is there. So we'll come there. So this is, I think it is Tata Communication, old VSNL. Now it is called Tata Communication. The Tata Communication is not treated as telco because it is not in access. That is a separate company of Tata. Tata Tele Services. They are the access provider. They are the telco. Whereas TCS is more on the international side and internet side. That is the only ISP, and he is the oldest ISP of the country. Earlier he was the only one. Then these private ISPs came, all that. All others are the telecom operator. So you will see that. So that is a very alarming trend actually. So number of broadband subscriber, as you have seen, we have hardly reached 15 million now against the policy target of 2010 of 20 million. So we are 3 years behind, more or less, on the target side. And this another thing, the last line is that 85% of the broadband subscriber are using DSL. We will see the technology trend also. The DSL, as you know, it is using your copper line for sending you the broadband, digital subscriber load. 85%. That means only 15% of the broadband customers are using something other than your old copper cable. Only 15%. So what are the other options? Other option is, one is your cable TV cable, then there is a fiber to the home, few operators are using fiber, and third is your wireless. Earlier that WiMAX had come, but now as you know WiMAX is dead. Earlier there was a big debate, if you are following up, WiMAX versus LT 3 years back, and finally the game is over for the WiMAX. So it is only LT. So whatever work was done on WiMAX, that has gone waste. Whatever investments had happened, whatever spectrum was allocated to WiMAX. Today, if you have read the paper, that BSNL thing, there was a group of ministers meeting for the revival of BSNL and MTNL. So there, in the presentation made, the government, the DOT have asked refund of about 12,000 crore rupees to BSNL because they want to return their WiMAX spectrum. And in the revival, nothing else was discussed. Only thing was discussed how to get the 12,000 crore rupees. because 12,000 crore, the BSNL can pay 1 year salary of their staff. There is no plan to use the 12,000 crore for network upgradation or for increasing their capability to generate more revenue. Every demand of BSNL as well as MTNL to the government is how they can get the money just to pay salary to their staff. Is it that can be the revival strategy? You can ask the money just because you want to buy something, which will help you to provide the service better, more. Yeah. What can be the, suppose you have come to a stage where you have to ask the government to pay salary to your staff, what that state indicates? Or what should be done? Close the company or privatize the company. There is in the government there is a act called BIFR. Refer it to BIFR. Actually, as per act, it has to be done. They are somehow skirting over the issue. Yeah, Board of Industrial Financial Reconstruction. So that BIFR is meant for that. So government cannot just keep giving salary to a public sector unit. Those are not government employees. They are the public sector employees. So if there is any problem like that, you have to refer it to BIFR. Then BIFR have the experts actually. They have the experts. They can actually reconstruct the company. So they have done so many things like that for many companies. So these are the fit cases of that. But unfortunately, 85% of our broadband connections are provided by them. So so you cannot just ignore them also. So that is another situation. So this shows about the broadband growth actually. The internet are below 256. So about 10 million are below 256 and 15 million are above 2. So total 25 only. And this shows quarter wise. I think we don't have to go in much details, but this shows the growth quarter wise. And this is the main slide directly from the regulator website. So as you have yourself guessed together, it is Bharat Sanchar Nigam, the incumbent operator, because most of the broadband connections are on DSL. And who owns the majority of DSL? It is BSNL. Majority of copper line where DSL works. And any idea how many copper lines we are having now or we are left with now? Copper lines in the country. Any guess? Any old figure anybody remembers? Now we are left with only 30 million. 5 years back we were 50 million. India is the only country where in the telecom revolution the mobile is growing and fixed is decreasing, are growing there. And there is no country where fixed is not growing. At the most, maybe there is a country where it has become stagnant. But there cannot be a country when mobile is growing and fixed is decreasing when the fixed tele density itself is very low. Our fixed tele density is only about 2.2%. Only 30 million we have. So where is the case that this 30 million should also decrease? Like how it has happened that 50 million have come to 30 million. It should happen only when every home has a connection. Then if you start talking of decrease, it is okay. But out of 250 million homes, only 30 million homes have broadband, only copper line, only 50 million. Out of only 30 million, they were 50 million 5 years back, now 30 million. And out of 30 million also, only 10 million are converted to broadband, now 12 million, 85% of 15 million. So we have 30 million copper line, even there all are not converted to broadband. So if you don't convert a copper line to broadband or DSL, it will get surrendered. That is what is happening. But if you convert a copper line to DSL, you start giving broadband through a copper line. It will never be surrendered. That is a very simple thing, because people have a alternate to phone, voice. If they get a mobile, they will surrender your phone line because they don't want to pay double. But if that phone line is getting you broadband also, high speed broadband, then you cannot afford to surrender. A very easy, very simple thing. But still, they are not listening. The problem here is because those copper lines are all owned by BSNL and MTNL, and they have their own speed of execution, own strategy. They are actually not even bothered. Unfortunately for us, we are totally dependent on them as far as broadband is concerned. So that is the dilemma here. So what to do? We will see what we can do, but main problem here is the owner of copper cable, which can enable us to increase our broadband growth or broadband number, is slow moving. That is the biggest problem. So someone, yes please. Yeah. Which problem?
The BSNL is not shifting my broadband plus landline to my new residence. They say for 200 meter length, they don't have the cable. They are not interested in laying new cables.
Yes, that's
so from last 1 year, I don't have a broadband.
Oh, in your new home?
In my new home.
So earlier connection you have surrendered, or it is lying idle?
It's lying idle because it says under shift.
Yeah, that is what, it is the real example, though I have not even visualized this kind of problem. So it is very bad on them. And what they should have done for you is, if they don't have a cable, they would have at least given you a wireless connection.
No, they offered that WLL.
Yeah, WLL.
But it is only
that is only for voice, yeah.
But it is only 146K internet.
Yes,
It's
so
totally
it is
useless.
not for broadband. You are right. So that is the problem. That is the problem. But this problem seems to be very unique one, of course. But why people are surrendering the phone is not because of problem like you, and you have not even surrendered that way. But they are surrendering because they have not converted the copper line into broadband. That is why they are surrendering. The day the line gets converted to broadband, it will not get surrendered. So now let us see the other player. BSNL will discuss in detail. The number two, you know, the Reliance Communication, a very big player. So they have a the BSNL alone have a market share of 51%. This is total, broadband as well as internet. Internet here means anything below 256 internet, anything above 256 is broadband. So there is not much, distinction between them, only speed. So 51% is BSNL alone, that means more than half. Reliance is about 25, and then the sister concern of BSNL, the Mahanagar Telecom Nigam, MTNL. The MTNL serves in Delhi and Mumbai, and rest of the cities it is BSNL. So the MTNL alone also have about 7.7% of the share, because they have about 2 million broadband and internet. Out of that, 1 million is broadband and 1 million is internet. And then Bharti. Now you see the only player which is non-telco here, of course there are few cable operator, and that is an interesting thing. We have to see that, which I had not noticed. So the first of all, only pure internet player in this 10 is Tata Communication. He was the incumbent internet provider. So he has to be there. Means he is the main guy, though he only a market share is only less than 1%. Tata Communication Limited, TCL. That is VSNL. We used to call it OCS earlier, Overseas Communication. Then we started calling it Videsh Sanchar Nigam. Then it was bought over by Tata in 2004. So now it is called Tata Communication. But here you have to see, and that is a very interesting thing to see here is the serial 5, Hathway, serial 6, U broadband cable, 7 Ticona, 8 Beam. Beam is very active in Andhra and also in Bangalore actually. Andhra is the biggest player but also in Bangalore, and Asianet. Now you have to see and this is a very interesting thing. If you go by the telcos, BSNL is 1 and who is Reliance is 2nd, MTNL is 3rd and 4th is Bharti. And you know them, this Bharti. In the private, Reliance, Bharti. And then Tata. Tata is also there. These are the 3 private players, main telco, and government, BSNL and MTNL. The balance 4 actually are the cable operator. And now you see from where it comes. Any idea how many cable homes we have in the country? Like I told you, copper line we have 30 million. Mobile we have about 950 million, broadband 15 million. How many cable homes are there? Cable home, I mean the homes to which cable TV cable is coming. Any guess? Any idea? Pardon? We have about 100 million. 100 million, which is much more than the copper line. So it is a unique thing in India that cable homes are more than the telephone homes. 3 times more actually. And that is where the operators saw value that yes, the BSNL is not able to convert all their copper to DSL. So then they went to these cable TV guys and they motivated them to use their cable TV wire to also give broadband in addition to TV. So they, like for DSL, they put a DSL modem. For cable TV, they put a cable modem. And that is what these 3-4 players have come. But one of the player is another unique thing. That is the player number 7. Have you heard about this? Ticona Digital Network Private Limited. It is neither a telco nor a cable operator. So what it can be? Broadband, of course, all of them are broadband, but it is a Wi-Fi guy. You would not have even noticed. Ticona guy is using Wi-Fi only. It has no copper because it is not a telco. It is not a cable operator. He is providing you service through Wi-Fi, and that is the future. In the future, you will see the Wi-Fi will play a very important role to reach broadband to your home. Ticona have already exploited that, and all his connections are broadband. Of course, he does not believe in anything below 2 Mbps and all. All his connections are broadband. So whatever connection shown here, though they are 1.37 lakhs, though it is a very small percentage, no, 2.83 lakhs, sorry, 2.83. So 1%, it is more than the Tata, more than the incumbent operator. The Tata is supposed to be the incumbent broadband operator. Ticona has done it by using Wi-Fi, about 3 lakhs already. So this shows about the major player of the broadband. The government player because of its copper, the private players because of their network, telco reach, then there are cable operators, and then this Ticona like fellow. So different type of fellow. So you will see what of them is using which technology. So this is of course their growth pattern, because we are taking of 10, we cannot discuss all the 160 and they are insignificant, because 95% of your service is provided by these 10 players only. You see the growth. Reliance has grown so much, others are not growing that much, and 3 players actually are going down, including Ticona. So this is an alarming thing. Why they are going down? Why the Tata Communication is going down? So these are the things to be watched. Tata Communication was the incumbent player. So maybe it is a unique thing for this particular quarter. Otherwise, there is no case for going down like this. So that shows the growth pattern. No, separate. Actually, as I mentioned, this Tata Communication is VSNL. This is the broadband and long distance. Tata Mobile Telephony is provided by Tata Tele Services. That is called TTSL. So that Docomo, all those things, they are different. So they have not reached the top 10. Now this is another thing, and that is also interesting thing. This shows the technology trends what I was mentioning, and as far as broadband is concerned, it is DSL. And whatever is not broadband, that is provided through other technology, especially the dial-up. And have you forgotten the dial-up? Earlier you used to know we used to dial that 172 when broadband was not there, and we used to get internet. That was the dial-up internet access. Later on it became so expensive because you have to pay two charges. One is your voice call charge. Per minute you will pay 40 paisa. In addition you will pay 10 paisa for the internet access. So every minute you used to pay 50 paisa. Earlier days before the broadband came. That is the dial-up thing. It is still there because everywhere they have not put DSL. So wherever they have not put DSL, you can still have this dial-up kind of internet. Though we have forgotten because in the big cities we just cannot imagine using dial-up. Because when 10 years back, this dial-up, because of the dial-up, it was very slow speed and very expensive also. So I remember that what we used to say that WWW, World Wide Web, we used to call it World Wide Wait. Those were the when dial-up days before the broadband came. It was actually the case. It was actually the case. You keep waiting there. We just cannot imagine those kind of things. Those were those dial-up, and but some places they are still surviving. Because if you have no option, what you will do? At least something you will get. And that is what. So DSL is the most dominant technology. Wireless, and this wireless is that Wi-Fi kind of thing, and little bit of 3G. That is there. Then there is a Ethernet. Ethernet LAN they give in the offices. So that is also counted here in 15 million. Then that cable modem, those cable TV guys using. There is another thing which is fiber actually, and you must have heard about what is called fiber to the home, FTTH. Incidentally, I am leading a project in India for FTTH. Bangalore is one area where we are working. So this FTTH, the future broadband will come through two means. It will not come through DSL. It will not come through your 3G. Only two means. One is FTTH, that is in the home, and other will be Wi-Fi. In future, everything else will vanish. FTTH or Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi also have different versions. More and more powerful versions are coming. So finally you will see these wireless thing, Wi-Fi thing will go up and the fiber thing will go up. All these things will either stay there or they will come down. That is what will happen. Then there are lease lines, these are for the offices and enterprise. So the technology today is very clear. It is DSL. In the future, it has to become wireless, dominated by Wi-Fi and little bit of LT. Wi-Fi plus LT will come. And the fiber has to take a leap. Only problem with fiber is it is very expensive. It is future proof, of course. It can, today itself, it can give you 100 Mbps at your home. And future, you can make it 1 gigabit. There is no problem. It has unlimited capacity. Only thing is it is very expensive. As on date, it makes sense to lay fiber to the home only in multi-storied building, what we call MDU, multi-dwelling unit, only there. There is no business case of laying fiber to the single units or to the widespread houses, what we call villas or bungalows. No case. You just cannot get your money back. But if it is multi-storied building, and that is what we are doing actually in 8 cities of the country, including Bangalore, we have identified these clusters, all these new multi-storied buildings coming, and we have wired them with the fiber. Every day we are doing 1,000 fiber to the home every day, and we have to do 5 million by next 2 years. That is what. So like that other operator will also do. So this fiber to the home will also grow. Finally, all the multi-storied houses will have fiber to the home, wherever they are. At least multi-storied houses, there is no option. Now all the new buildings which are coming, you may be seeing some ads. You have seen the ad earlier, it used to come hotspot. Now it comes fiber in the home, FITH, Fion. Now the people are selling their flats by marking it. It has fiber, and that is a premium they are charging for it. So that is the concept. So that is the future technology of the broadband. Now this same thing shown in a different diagram. What has happened? Now there is another trend which is interesting, and that is that is your smartphone concept. The smartphone which are capable of accessing data or internet and later on broadband also. So luckily half of the mobile phone are actually smartphone. That is what I have taken it from the regulator. This is okay. So this is a very interesting thing I wanted to bring to the knowledge. It is not counted on the 15 million. But there are these phones with the people, and that is a big number, 430. If the operator can start delivering broadband, the customer devices are already there. So what the operator have to do? Either he has to deliver you 3G service, or he has to deliver you 4G service. Of course, your smartphone may not accept 4G, 3G at least. But for 3G you need more spectrum. What spectrum is given to these operators today is very low. Just 5 megahertz, if you know about the spectrum units. 5 megahertz is enough only for voice. If you start using the same spectrum for data also, and by data here I mean broadband, like 2 Mbps kind of thing. So what will happen? The voice path will get choked. And that is what is happening on the 3G front. Why the 3G have been declared as a failure? It is because the spectrum is not enough. Operator have a option choice basically. If he use that spectrum for voice, he solves his 2G problem, but then he does not earn revenue because he is not giving 3G. If he using that spectrum for 3G to give you high speed broadband on your mobile and charge you, then his voice suffers, voice quality suffers. And that is why 3G is a failure. The other reason for that is because he has paid very high price in the spectrum auction. So to recover that, he has to charge you more. If he charges you more, then you don't use, or you go for what is called those Docomo kind of thing, Tata Photons kind of thing. You have those alternative. So you will go for that. That is much cheaper. And you don't even come to know that which one is faster because they are very near to each other. The 3G service of this telco or the data services of these 2G operator like Tata, Reliance, MTS, I think 2-3 players I have seen. I myself use the Tata Photon. I don't even come to know that this service is inferior than 3G. And the charges, it is much cheaper than 3G. So that is the problem. So those 3G people will not make much headway, though they have a big opportunity. They have big opportunity. Yes, please. Yeah, because of the spectrum. They have very little spectrum.
Not only spectrum, the quality of the signal, it fluctuates. It is not constant all the time. It's not stable.
Oh.
3G, I am
Okay,
using
3G.
3G extensively.
Okay, that means they have a problem with their network also.
Yeah,
I
network
was
problem.
not knowing that.
Yeah, it is network problem, it fluctuates, it goes down, up and down, up and like a sine wave, it keeps on changing.
Oh, that is another issue. That is another issue. But they have a bigger issue. They have shortage of spectrum. They have spent more money. Now they cannot recover it. So either way they suffer.
And there is one more problem, which is recently Supreme Court has struck down all this Vodafone, Airtel sharing exchanging their 3G.
Yeah, that is the ICR, the roaming agreement.
Now, for example, in Karnataka, Vodafone did not get the 3G license.
Yes.
They are sharing the Airtel's license. In West Bengal, Airtel doesn't have 3G, this one Vodafone has it. So in West Bengal, Airtel gives 3G subletting from Vodafone. In Karnataka, Vodafone gives 3G subletting from Airtel.
Yeah,
but the Supreme Court has struck it down.
Struck it down.
So all those who have taken Vodafone 3G data card, this doesn't work now.
Oh, yeah, that is another problem. Yeah, that has complicated the problem further because it came later. This is called ICR, intra-circle.
Yeah, CIS has got all the Vodafone data cards.
Yeah.
None of them are working now. I don't know, I have to ask.
Actually, yeah, that is another complication which have been added by the court, and basically they have struck down the intra-circle roaming agreement of these operators where they did not have the spectrum. And ideally that agreement was required for the purpose because they did not have the spectrum. So there is nothing wrong in that. But there is a problem and it is still there. It is not totally stuck down in the Supreme Court. The case is in Supreme Court. The earlier court gave a what is called a divided opinion or what they call divided judgment. So there were only two members there in the TD set when this case was heard. The chairman of the TD set, who happened to be an ex-judge, he was in favor of this being permitted. The other member, who is equivalent in status, who was an ex-bureaucrat, he told it is illegal. So they gave a divided judgment which was finally challenged into the Supreme Court. So the case is in the Supreme Court. But this situation have come to a standstill. So you cannot sell the services what you were doing earlier unless you have a spectrum in that particular circle. So that has another complication to the whole issue of 3G failure. So now people are talking that countries should not have gone to 3G at all. That time there was a big debate, but government wanted to get that spectrum money. There was a big debate whether India should leapfrog from 2G. Why should not they go for 4G straight? Because they had missed the bus already. 3G was delayed in India by 5 years. And other countries have already started talking of 4G 2010 when 3G auction was done. Lot of debate was there. They could not take a decision, but government was more greedy to sell their spectrum to get the money because they were having a financial problem. So they told, okay, let me sell this spectrum. Later on, I'll convert this 3G spectrum to 4G, which they are trying to do. That is called liberalization of spectrum. But that is not the solution, because if you as an operator have invested in 3G equipment, what will happen to that equipment? That government did not realize. And that is where we are stuck actually. So now people say what the wise people were mentioning that time to leapfrog, that was the ideal thing to happen 3 years back. Now, by now every one of us would have LTE or 4G. So we would not have been debating this 3G failure at all. That is what. So sometime all these things, yes please. Yeah.
3G service providers,
Yes.
they have invested huge investment
Yes.
on this.
On the spectrum also and on the network also.
Exactly.
Both.
And BSNL has made a huge investment on 4G also.
Yes,
MTNL.
that is WiMAX. That is WiMAX.
Yeah, WiMAX.
Yes.
Now they are planning to surrender some of the 4G license.
4G, yes. 4G spectrum they
Yeah.
want to surrender, yes.
BSNL as well as MTNL.
MTNL, both,
If
yes.
the private players, they decide to surrender all those 3G license,
Yes.
they will get back their investment.
Yeah, you have a very good question, and that is why government in a dilemma. That is why government DOT on the first instance they rejected this request of BSNL, because BSNL is trying it for last 2 years,
Exactly.
getting their money, asking for their money. So now they have taken it to GOM just to take the wider, decision from the cabinet level. Once they take it that, you are right, immediately the request from private operators will come. It may not come for 3G alone. It will also come for other spectrum where they have paid more and are making losses. So it will open what they call a Pandora box. That is where is the biggest risk for the government. That is why they are unable to decide it. As per the law today, it is no refund is given by the government. The refund kind of thing is not there in the dictionary of government as per the Indian Telegraph Act. The refund can be given by a service provider, but government just does not give any refund. First time they will be refunding, if at all, to save their own baby, BSNL. But if they do that, they will open the Pandora box. You have really mentioned a very important point, which is actually, which is actually frightening the government itself, because it is back of their mind. If I give it to my baby, I will have to give it to others also, and it will, lot of issues will come. That is why the government may not give them the money. They may give the same money in some other pretext. That is what they have been doing. Every year BSNL asks, so they give them for USO, for rural broadband. Though they don't use the money for rural broadband. They use the money to pay salary only. But they are given in name of rural broadband. That is how they do. So now also they will find some other route. They will give them that money, but not for refund of spectrum. They will give it for something else, just so that they don't open this opportunity for the private players. But you have a very good point actually. That is what is worrying the government also. So this means if the network and service provider can provide a high speed service to the handsets, the customers can increase. So this is some more statistic which does not seem to be very important, but it also shows that those handsets which are capable of data services, so these data services need not to be broadband. It can be your GPRS, it can be your edge, it can be your that photon kind of thing which they do on CDMA. So there are about 430 million subscribers, which is about half of the mobile subscriber, almost half, have the capability and are using data services, but unfortunately those data services are not broadband, they are narrowband. They are not even counted as a internet subscriber, but this facility is there. Now we go to the states. It was now as far as the service provider is there, you have seen what, how, who are they, what is their specialty, what technology they use. Now the state wise, where it has gone. Sorry. Yeah. So basically this is an interesting thing. Normally you always get the data about all India. So it is a very interesting thing which I got from regulator website, which shows the state. And as one of you had predicted, it is Maharashtra, the number one. And let us see where Karnataka figures. I thought Karnataka should have been second. Unfortunately, it is fourth. So what can be the reason? How the Andhra and Tamil Nadu can be higher than Karnataka when the Karnataka we show as a IT thing and all that. So what can be the reason? Pardon? Which one?
The growth in Karnataka is very urban centric.
Oh, that is everywhere. That is all these states are urban centric. Rural is zero. If you talk of broadband, it is all urban centric.
I don't know that.
Yeah, rural is not counted. So maybe they have more than one bigger cities like Bangalore, and Karnataka have only Bangalore to count maybe on the bigger city, because everything is happening in these bigger cities. Maharashtra, it is because of Mumbai and Pune. Two cities are there. That is why these two cities can, pardon? So that is there. So let us see what we can learn from this thing. Yeah. Not much, but one thing to remember is Maharashtra is number 1 and Karnataka is number 4. So Karnataka needs to do catching up at least with the neighboring states. Oh, Gujarat is very low, and yes, you have given me a point that Gujarat also should have been high up because it claims to be in everything else, but in broadband they are not. As per this, yeah, they claim to be they are the top on everything, but broadband they also need lot of catching up to be done. But their city, of course, Ahmedabad is there in the top 6 or top 8 cities. So they should also, yeah, Gujarat is also a worry here. Now there is one tariff plan I just wanted to show, and that is on the earlier one, yeah. Oh, states.
States,
Yes.
even Gujarat.
Yes.
But you see Kerala right up there, and it's a very small state.
Oh yeah, that is very interesting observation. Actually, Kerala, you will be surprised to know, about 15 years back, the Kerala had the highest tally density in the country. And I used to get surprised. That was 15 years back. So somehow, Kerala, there are 2, 3 very important things. One is their tally density has been highest. Now, of course, everyone have about 100%, that is okay. But Kerala was the leader in telephone, even fixed lines. Kerala was the leader. Then mobile also they were the leader. So that is what is helping them. And also you must be knowing the literacy rate in Kerala. So these 2, 3 things Kerala have done wonders, and that is why they are in the higher side of it. That is a very interesting thing, of course. And it's a small state, but still having 17, what is that, lakhs, it must be a lakhs. So about 2 million almost. Broadband is a big number, very near to Karnataka in the numbers actually. So that shows, because they were already in phone, their phone density was very high. So most of them would have got converted to broadband. Included for mobile also. There also, whatever could have been done has been done as far as USO is concerned. Then a lot of money was idling with USO. Then it was decided include broadband also. For that they had to change the act, because earlier USO fund was meant for basic telephone services. The basic telephone services, they had to amend the act. So what they did, and that was a very interesting thing. I was a part of that debate in the parliament as well as that standing committee. In fact, we made a presentation to standing committee to change the Indian Telegraph Act so that USO fund could be used for mobile also. Because it was in the act, it was written, the fund will be used for provision of basic telecom services in rural India. So we made lot of presentation, lot of from the regulator side, and lot of English and lot of submission. And one very smart MP, he told, what is your objective? We told, sir, our objective is this fund should be used for mobile also in rural, because fixed, whatever was to happen has happened. So he told, then we had written a full para of the amendment. He told, why you are writing this full para? Why don't you remove the word basic from basic telecom service? And we were actually, impressed, because then just by cutting the word basic, the act got changed, and it not only enabled the fund to be used for mobile, but also for broadband and also for cable TV, because as per the definition of telecom service, everything is included. Only when you talk of basic telecom service, then it becomes fixed, because there is a definition of basic telecom service and there is a definition of telecom service. In telecom service, everything came. So when that act was changed, that time it was changed for mobile, just they removed the word basic, and it passed through the parliament and all that easily, because not much reading or not much discussion, just one word was to be deleted. And it happened. But later on it came so handy, now the same fund without any amendment to the act is being used for broadband. So to start with, what they are doing is they are permitting BSNL a low rate of broadband. Do you know that in a rural area, if you are there in a village, you can get a broadband connection in 99 rupees, the fixed broadband connection, which is 512 kbps, just 99 rupees a month. Unfortunately, each house BSNL cannot give, but wherever they can give, they have to charge 99 rupees. So the loss is made good by the USO. Loss is made good by the USO. And from where this 99 figure came, this figure came from the affordability actually. If you have seen that World Bank study, the affordability level of a subscriber for broadband is taken as 3 to 4% of its monthly income, per capita monthly income, 3 to 4%. So they took, it is 3,000 rupees is the monthly income of a rural guy with that Narega thing they took and all that. Then they calculated its 3% and finally it came to around 90 to 99. And that is what they made 99. And it is good. Now the problem is affordability they have made, but availability. Unfortunately, BSNL is unable to connect each copper line, convert each copper line to DSL. And the reason given there is, actually they had 5 years back, there were 13 million fixed line in rural. Out of 50 million, 30 millions were in rural. Now, out of 30 million, only 6 million are remaining in rural. And none of them is converted to broadband. So there is an immediate case, at least those 6 million you convert to broadband. Because for that USO is paying you money. USO is paying you money. So what you are waiting for? That is the immediate thing which they can do. Now as I mentioned, the telco, these telecom service which are mainly for the mobile services, they are actually are also providing internet and they are the bigger contributor. Actually if you see those top 4 or 5 telco. So they have so many other services they provide. But like these, whatever I have highlighted, like these internet, IPTV, enterprise, data center, these telcos are contributing. So it is surprising that the so-called ISP operators are not doing much contribution to the whole game of the broadband in the country, whether it is in rural or in the urban. It is mainly driven by the telcos or by the cable operator. And more of cable operator will come after this digitalization. Now you know there is a digitalization rule, all these metro are already digitalized. So the cable operator in any case have to make his network digital. Once he makes his network digital, it is very easy for him to provide broadband also. Because on the analog you could not provide broadband, but on the digital you can. And that is the opportunity. So now the focus will shift. And that is where I should have mentioned. I mentioned about FTTH and Wi-Fi. It will be FTTH plus cable. The cable will start playing important role now after digitalization. They already have a significant role, but they will play more role. Yes, yeah, all the broadband is 3-in-1. That is called triple play. Everything of broadband, even DSL is 3-in-1. FTTH will give you voice, data and video. That is called triple play. The same thing is done by DSL also, triple play. The same thing will be done by LT also. And the same thing can be done by cable also. You are right. The broadband, the biggest application of broadband is not just the internet connection or not just the high speed internet. That is of course one. But in addition, the same broadband connection can permit you voice through VoIP and also TV through IPTV. So all the three on the same link. That is what they call triple play.
Before 7 months, BSNL laid the line to our home in Tamil Nadu.
Yes.
But they have not connected with the triple one.
Oh, triple one. But their line is what? Is it FTTH?
I think it's a very thick one. That time I didn't ask it, and I didn't
No, no,
inquire.
the thick and thin does not decide whether it is
I
FTTH.
think
It is
it's
the color of the cable.
that's a copper one.
Oh, copper one,
No, no, no,
okay.
no. The copper one is the existing telephone line, but they said the triple thing will be available in
Yes,
this cable.
it comes through DSL. Yeah, if they put DSL on your copper cable also, the DSL can also give triple play because DSL also is broadband. Of course, the triple play needs a minimum of about what you call 6 Mbps. So the BSNL normal connection is 2 Mbps or 4 Mbps. If it is 2 or 4 kind of thing, you will not get triple play. But if it is beyond 6, because in the triple play IPTV you have to get HDTV also. All these things minimum 6 Mbps is required. And copper can also give you 6 Mbps. Actually copper can give you up to 24 Mbps. That is called ADSL. So if they are serious and if they put a good modem, ADSL modem, you will get even 24 Mbps on the copper. And if you get that speed, then they will give you triple play. But otherwise, if they put a lower capacity modem just to give you 512 or even 2 Mbps, the 2 Mbps will also not give you triple play. Triple play minimum requirement is 6 Mbps, which today fiber in any case, because fiber can give you 100 Mbps or minimum we are selling is 10 Mbps. We don't sell anything below 10 Mbps on fiber because it is a wastage, it is a underutilization. At triple play is minimum, otherwise people don't buy your fiber. Just for broadband, they will not buy your fiber. You have to give them TV also. And this is what the market share, of course, of the broadband. BSNL 10 million, Bharti 1.5, MTNL 1, and all others are 2.63. So this is BSNL wireline, not very important. BSNL broadband growth, and that is what shows. So why I'm showing you BSNL more is just it is a case study that they have so much infrastructure and they have the opportunity to get it funded. That is the biggest thing is, means why you should not act. So normally you don't act that you have no money or you don't have a business case. So here for rural you don't need to have a business case. You are compensated. Even for your capex you are compensated. So at least those 6 million line immediately you should convert. And other lines, okay, you may not be compensated for capex, but at least if you convert them to broadband, you can charge for broadband and then you can be sure your line will not be surrendered. So that is the main thing that why it is not happening, and that is why the government have decided to discuss a revival plan for them. Means something is fundamentally wrong basically. This shows about the rural coverage and that is a very interesting thing. So in the rural actually there used to be a concept of what is called VPT, Village Public Telephone, and they were all funded by US only, and that is why we have almost 97% coverage. So what is the problem? Why it is not 100%? The policy objective was by 2004 we should have got the 100% rural coverage, and that is why USO was created and all that. And to them they have told, yes, USO have given the money for all the villages, but still this is the latest data from the regulator website, and it shows there are about 16,000 villages of the country still don't have the telephone. I am not talking about the broadband. Though the USO have funded, USO is on record that we have covered all, but this is the regulator website data. That means there are some missing link. 16,000 villages still don't have the VPT, which is very surprising. So I of course try to analyze, and they told those are the villages which cannot be accessed from terrestrial thing. So there is a satellite, actually wherever you cannot get through terrestrial, there is a VSAT. Satellite is there, and we have satellite phones for emergency, we have satellite phones for military, for police, for railway. So if that is the case, you give satellite phone there. So that is another alarming thing. And of course, GSM CDMA also have not covered all of the. Yes, please.
Well, you mentioned that the fund has been released,
Yes.
the coverage is not there, but the reason is that the terrestrial problem is there, but the fund is still being released. So even if there is no terrestrial reach, either
Yes.
the fund should have been returned or something should have happened,
Exactly.
or some people have got some new cars.
Yeah, no, no, what, no, not new car. Actually what is happening is the funds, when you know how the USO fund release mechanism works, they do it by tender. That is as per the law, they just cannot give you to BSNL or anyone. So what they do tender. They ask the expression of interest that I want to do some, this, only among operator, and they say who will charge minimum from me. That is called reverse subsidy. So like BSNL and Reliance, only two players have been making full use of the USO fund. It is either Reliance or BSNL. So in this case, BSNL or Reliance or both would have quoted some figure that yes, I will charge you this much for doing this job. And whosoever asked lowest, they got the job. And that is what happened. So now while doing that, they found the money I had quoted for terrestrial thing, and this is not working. So now I have to go for satellite. The USO does not tell them what technology you will use. The USO tells, I want a phone there. You tell me how much it will cost from me to pay to you as a subsidy so that that phone is put there. So that time they would have quoted low or whatever. And now they found, yeah, some villages I cannot reach by this method. So the other method is satellite. Obviously satellite will be more expensive. And that is where they are stuck. For that, USO should penalize them. Means return of the money is not a solution. Solution is that you first penalize them as per the contract, whatever contract, because everywhere there is a penalty thing. And then get the job re-advertised and get the other vendor if they are unable. But unfortunately, there is something missing. Maybe the proper report is not there with the USO, or the USO is not monitoring. Once he got, okay, I have given him the fund and he have given me the utilization certification and I am okay. Actually, what USO should have been doing is he should have been monitoring like this. He should get every year a certificate from them whether you have put the phone and whether that phone is working or not. Just putting a phone is not enough. It has to keep working. So that is the report USO should have been getting. I don't know why it is not happening, because for me also it is alarming data actually. And broadband, of course, you can see only 30% villages are covered. And this coverage is, I am talking of just the 256 kilobit. It's nothing. The total number you see, only 169,000. That is the only number. So maybe one line in a village, they have converted to broadband, something like that. So that is nothing as far as the number is concerned. So a lot of catching up is to be done. And the same thing. Now this is another alarming thing. We are almost coming to the end now. (628) district headquarter. Now I am not talking of villages. It is district headquarter. It's a town or it's a city. There also 4 towns still don't have the broadband. Another very alarming thing. Luckily they have pointed out there that these 4 district headquarters are belonging to a particular state called Arunachal Pradesh, northeast. Northeast, yeah. So that is it. And missing broadband access is about 70% of villages. And that is where will be my last thing, that how we reach these 70% villages as far as broadband is concerned. Basically for this is what is that BBNL meant for, and you have I think known that by now. The BBNL mandate is that USO will fund them to the tune of 20,000 crore and they will reach the broadband, and not only 2 Mbps, 100 Mbps on the fiber to about 2.5 lakhs gram panchayat. 2.5 lakhs, not all of them. All of them are 6 lakhs. So 2.5, that is their mandate. If they do that, from there by Starlink or by Wi-Fi, you can reach the other villages also. So if they do that, all your coverage will be there as far as villages are concerned. So none of the village will be uncovered as far as broadband is concerned. But how it will help to increase your numbers? Now we are only 15 million. We are talking of 175 million in 2017, and we should have been 20 million 3 years back. So how that will increase the number? Any guess? Though it will take the broadband to all the villages, but what will happen to the numbers? Who will bring the numbers? Any idea to that? Basically, that is a big missing link. The government or US have not even thought about that. They told my first job is I want to create the infrastructure. I want to reach there. Now we will see later on how to reach the homes. They have not even thought of that. For that we have suggested, and in my book also, there is a need for what is we talk about PPP, public-private partnership. That is what is required. The BBNL alone is stand-alone government body, government funded, and they are not talking to the private people. So then, at least for the missing link, there is a case for PPP, because government should not assume that, okay, I have done my job, I have taken it there, now the private player should do it. Private player can never do it unless there is a business case, and there is no business case. That is for sure. In 99 rupees, you cannot sell a broadband connection as a business case. You are going to make loss. That is for sure. So that loss has to be made good by USO alone, again, like what he is doing for those 169,000 connection of BSNL, he will have to do for all the connections of the private operator. So it's new scheme or some scheme has to come for that. So I think that is what, as far as my objective was there, and I hope you have got good idea, but maybe Nirmita, some questions, some time for questions? Because I think 5 minutes, yeah, we started a bit late. So 5 minutes, yes please. Yes. Internet freedom. Oh, internet, yeah. Oh yes, a very good question. The government of India in the NTP 2012 itself, though broadband as a fundamental right, or what is called right to broadband, they have still stopped short of that, but they have made it broadband for all as a mission. Broadband for all as a mission, it is there in NTP 2012. That is there.
Now, is Government of India's declare, is there any written somewhere which I can quote to BSNL and say it's my fundamental right to get broadband now?
No, fundamental right, they have not come yet there.
Not yet.
They have just stopped before that. But what they have made there is broadband for all. Broadband for all they have made is as a policy mission of the government. But fundamental right, they have stopped short of there. Actually, we were trying to get it made fundamental rights. Just for your information, few countries already have broadband as a fundamental right.
I think Finland, Finland, I think.
Finland was the first one. After that, 1 or 2 more have come.
South Korea.
Oh, South Korea, of course, they are beyond the fundamental right. They have implemented it more than that. As I mentioned, they have declared living in a home which does not have broadband illegal. So that is more. So you cannot stay in a home which does not have broadband. So they have done it much better than anybody else actually. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah, so I think any other question, or only thing is I can show you, because I should have shown you one more diagram which I have specially prepared for something else, but because there was a subject on the spectrum, Actually, I am working on a project called next generation approach to spectrum allocation. I'll just take 1 minute, and it is also relevant to broadband. So what I am trying to actually, you can say, advocate is using this next generation or internet. As you know, there is a layered approach in the internet. We all started with the 7-layer OSI model. That same model we used for our concept of NGN, next generation network. Now the same concept I wanted to use for spectrum allocation, because in India we have a lot of problem of the spectrum. As you know, this 2G scam happened, so many court cases are there, that Supreme Court case, everything. So we are working actually on a plan where the spectrum can be used more efficiently by using what is called a layered approach. So all type of spectrum you don't have to treat same. So you have to divide. One is the spectrum for the basic services or the real quality of service oriented services. And what are those services? That is nothing but your voice. Voice is main service where the quality of service cannot be compromised. Though in India it is happening, but it is wrong. It should not happen. The QS for voice have to be guaranteed. So what I told is that whatever spectrum is required for voice services, you separate it out and allocate it by the way you are doing it now. That is called exclusive and dedicated allocation, which is called administered allocation, even through auction also. So that is what guaranteed QS, interference free basic services, which all your mobile phone, everything comes. So your main job is done. Now you need spectrum for what? You need spectrum for broadband. So your voice thing is there. So when you have to do for broadband, what broadband need is not the same QS as your voice. It can have slightly degraded QS, because it always will have. If in the access it is not degraded somewhere else, because weakest link will decide. So you are passing through so many channels, all that. So you can never aspire for or never guarantee 100% QS for broadband, which you can do for voice, but not for broadband, because it is not in your hand. It has to pass through all over the globe. You are talking of internet now. Internet is not your hand. You can only cover your part of the network. So then in your network also you do what is called the shared spectrum. You let the spectrum be shared between different players, government and private. So for that there is a concept of dynamic spectrum exchange, which we have written a separate paper on that. So the spectrum, this for the broadband will be shared dynamically, allocated dynamically, so that its efficiency increases. Because administrative efficiency is very low, because it is bureaucratic. Whereas dynamic efficiency is very high, it is very productive. So all your broadband. And then there is a best effort. So there may be some application, some user. So here the broadband which are executive offices where they need enterprise kind of QS, may not be 100% QS, but managed QS. But then there are some user of broadband like home user or individual user. I want first of all broadband, I want it cheap, I am not worried about its quality of service. I want its speed and the cost. It should give me high download and it should cost me less. That is what most of us want, in addition to what we get in office and home. Office and home is different. When I am mobile, my issue is I should get it cheap and I should get it fast. For that we have a concept of best effort QS. Best effort QS is whatever best you can do, I don't want to pay. And that is where the Wi-Fi kind of spectrum comes. Wi-Fi spectrum is free. So for all these type of application, you use Wi-Fi spectrum. And if you start using Wi-Fi spectrum, then whatever Wi-Fi spectrum they have de-licensed will fall short. So they have to de-license more. And that is what we are there with the government. That you de-license 5.1 to 5.3 gigahertz also. They have done 2.4 to 2.48. They have done 5.7 to 5.825. But 5.1 to 5.3 gigahertz, they have not done yet. Whereas all over the world it is de-licensed. So if that also they de-license, about 200 megahertz will become available for this top layer. And this gives you what is called innovation efficiency. The innovation efficiency, there is a US report actually which is submitted to the US Senate, which says the innovation efficiency of the D-licensed spectrum is 1000 times more than this bottom layer, than the administrative efficiency. 1000. I was thinking it is 10 times. But now there is a report, a scientific evidence, it is 1000 times more efficient. So you can see what can happen. And that is what we are trying to make the future roadmap of the spectrum allocation, without conflicting with any existing thing, without, you can say, depriving the government of any revenue, because whatever revenue they want, they get here, whatever. So with that, I think I should be stopping, and this Nirmita is already staring at me. Yeah. Yeah. And but before that, I have to give my book to, I forgot the name of that gentleman. What is his name, please? Yeah, I have to, you have contributed maximum to my session, so I like to give my book to you.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, and in addition, or you can come and collect it here. In addition, I have one more book, and that I like to give to you. I forgot your name. Oh, from where you have come? Oh, Delhi. Then we should meet. But I'll give my book to you just now. Yeah. Yeah. This is one for you. Yeah. So this has all the things what I have discussed. Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I am really thankful to all of you, and I hope my main KRA is met. Did any of you slept? Because I was told the participants should not sleep. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.